The law industry has been the same for so long. To me, it needed to be broken and rebuilt. First year I brought in 50 cases. Next year I brought in 100 cases. Next year I brought in 150 cases. We started what was 4/20/2016, Batta Fulkerson. We pushed our living room table up against the wall, and that was our first desk. That was how we started. Life's short. Like, you gotta own who you are, and I don't like living with facade. And I think if you build things around the things that you love in life, like, usually success will come, and you're also going to be happy. And I love bulldogs. I've had a bulldog since I was 21 years old. She was the initial mascot of the firm. I was laying in bed at 12 o'clock at night, and I texted my law partner and said, hey, like, what do you think about using a bulldog? He was like, let's go. So the rest fell into place.
I couldn't be more excited to welcome Dan Fulkerson in the show. What's up, Dan?
Great to be here. I love the name of the show.
Thank you.
I didn't know what I was walking into. This is impressive.
Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
So, first question, because I think for a lot of times we have entrepreneurs in this chair, and you're a professional entrepreneur, meaning I think you've done an incredible job blending entrepreneurship and a normal professional field like being a lawyer together. What was the inspiration for how you decided to put a bulldog as the face of Batta Fulkerson?
So the law industry has been the same for so long. It's like it was the old white man's club for so long. And to me, it needed to be broken and rebuilt and done a different way. And I didn't want to do the stuffy book office and the scales of justice and a shield for my mascot. Like, I wanted it to be me. Like, life's short. Like, you got to own who you are, and I don't like living with facade. And I think if you build things around the things that you love in life, like, usually success will come, and you're also going to be happy. And I love bulldogs. I've had a bulldog since I was 21 years old. She was the initial mascot of the firm. I was laying in bed at 12 o'clock at night, and I texted my law partner and said, hey, like, what do you think about using a bulldog? And he was like, let's go. So the rest fell into place. And now they're everywhere. They're all over my office. You come in, you're going to get greeted by a bulldog.
So I know our furry friend here, but for the audience, who's our furry friend with us today?
This is Ted.
What's up, Ted?
Teddy is one of 6. Yeah, I'm that guy. He's a rescue. Most of my dogs are rescues. I have a bulldog rescue. So when I'm not a lawyer, I'm rescuing French and English bulldogs. And Teddy was ditched in a box 3 years ago, left on a doorstep with another bulldog that I made one of the attorneys in my office rescue. So they still get to hang out every day. And Ted rolls everywhere with me. He's, at this point in time, he's like part of my soul, and he's like my comfort animal. So
how old is Teddy?
With rescues, it's so tough. It's like looking at like trees and counting rings on a tree. They look at their teeth and kind of make an estimate. They think he's 6 or 7. He could be 5. He could be 9. I mean, it's tough, but I think he's probably 6 years old.
Well, we're going to dive into the bulldog and your rescue operations and all the things you're doing around that. First, though, let me set the stage because I know you very well.
Yeah.
For those of my audience who may not know you that well, as I said in the intro, you're an incredibly successful personal injury attorney. You've built an incredible brand here in San Diego, now also expanding into Idaho. That wasn't how you started out of law school. I know you went to Cal Western Law School here in San Diego. You graduated. You got your first job.
Yep.
And you had to deal with something that most people wouldn't know how to respond, and they could go a whole lot of ways. Tell us about that experience at your first law firm. First of all, why you went into this field, but second, also how you pivoted and what that event was that created that whole situation.
Yeah, so I did my MBA at the same time as my law degree, and I did it a little bit of a different way. Like most people do a 4-year program, I did them both in 2.5 years. I didn't have the financial support to be able to take 4 years, so I did my law during the mornings and into the afternoons, and then did night program for my MBA. When I finished that, throughout law school, I interned at U.S. Attorney's Office, got put on some cases that, excuse me, no, you're good. They were just not for me. I realized that was not a route that I wanted to go. Worked for a big corporate firm, pushing paper, preparing attorneys for depositions. That wasn't for me. Wasn't happy doing that. Found personal injury because there was a firm that just needed some help getting the business side together. So it was a lot of combo between the MBA and the law degree. and immediately saw how much client interaction it is. You never know what's going to walk in the door every day, and you get to truly help people and change people's lives. And immediately it was like, this is what I'll do for the rest of my life. Like, I will always be a personal injury attorney. And so I went to work for a firm and, was paid a very small salary, but was able to negotiate a situation where I was compensated based on cases that I bring in the door. And
From day one?
From day one. The salary I was offered was insulting. Like, I came out top of my class in law school, top of my class in my MBA, and was insulted by the salary.
What was it?
$4,000 a month. And I mean, $4,000 a month for an attorney and coming out where I did in school, it was just like, how am I going to survive on this?
But after taxes, it barely covers law school loans.
It barely. Like, I don't even know if it would have without what I negotiated. So I walked away from it. I was irritated when I was first offered, but I knew that I was going to be able to bring in business. So what I negotiated was 50% of anything that I brought in. And the attorney at the time didn't think that I was going to bring in substantial caseload. He thought, oh, you bring in 3 or 4 cases a year, no big deal. First year I brought in 50 cases. Next year I brought in 100 cases. Next year I brought in 150 cases. So I was making, very, very good money plus $1 million in a very short period of time just by bringing in business. The salary didn't matter.
But he must have still loved it because he was getting the other half.
It's a win, but at a point, unless you don't have an ego and you can be okay with the fact that someone is growing that quickly, I think that gets under some people's skin. I set my law firm up very similar. I don't want people to have ceilings on them. So for me, when attorneys like that are growing, it's great. Everyone wins. But I think that it started to wear in this situation. But it was also one of those that where I was at, I walked in on a meeting and found out some things that were not okay and were unethical and weren't how a law firm is supposed to be run. And that meeting was what forced me out. And I, at that point in time, was like, peace. If you see me on the street, walk to the other side. We're not good anymore. Like, I can't believe that I was a part of something that, wasn't being run the way that a law firm should be run. And so when I left, me and my partner now, Paul Batta, we started on what was 4/20/2016 Batta Fulkerson in the living room of my little Italy condo, and we pushed my kitchen table, or we pushed our living room table up against the wall, and that was our first desk. That was how we started. Started running.
You panned over some unethical things.
Yeah.
Without getting into names, obviously, just tell me, what were those things?
So you have, in law, you have a client trust account that is basically like where all the money flows after you settle a case. And that money is supposed to be just for the clients, just for the doctors, and just for your partial attorney's fees. And I basically found out that client trust account was being used as kind of like a personal slush fund and being pulled from, and that's not how it works. And that's absolutely, completely unethical, and you should get in a lot of trouble for it. It's just not how these kind of things should work. And so when I found that out, it was, I'm not going to be a part of anything like that.
So you're making over $1 million. You find out that you're doing it in an organization that is breaking the law and doing things that you don't stand for. And in one afternoon decide, I'm out.
Yeah, it went down quick.
You just left.
Out. Yeah.
And now you had some confidence because, as you said, you were bringing in hundreds of clients a year.
Yeah, I knew that I was going to be all right. Like, I knew that I could, I'd helped build the business side of it. I'd helped build the marketing side of it. And it was more of like a volume type of firm. And it wasn't really how I wanted to practice. I'm a big quality over quantity believer, and so I wanted to do it a different way. I wanted to be able to do it the way that I thought was able to maximize each client's case. And so for me, it was a fun opportunity because I'm like, I've done this for someone else. Now I get to do it for myself the way that I want to do it and around the things that I love. And so from day one, and I tell people that all the time, you got to know you're going to be successful. Even in like the darkest moments, we didn't make money for 18 months. We rolled every single dollar back into the firm to be able to grow it the way that we wanted to. But I always knew what it was going to be. Like I always knew where it would end up. I always knew that we would end up being one of the biggest, best personal injury firms around. It takes time. It's a grind.
So clearly your ability to bring in clients, obviously that's a huge confidence builder when you make this huge pivot. But What do you attribute your ability to do that? Because most graduates from law school, I went to law school, I graduated. You don't come out with like a blueprint here. I mean, as you said, the attorney you went to work for didn't think you were going to bring in more than a couple cases. There was something you were doing which allowed you to go bring in 50 year one, 100 year two, 150 year three.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of hustle. It was a lot of being out in the community, but it was also, people want real human, and they don't want facade, and they want to know that the person is going to be trustworthy and take care of them. And I think that I've always tried to live my life that way, and I've always tried to make sure that, I live with sincerity, and that if I shake someone's hand, like, I'm going to come through on it. And that's why you and I have always gotten along, is that there's a certain like oath to how I live. And I think that that's always been there. And you can ask around about me and ask around my name, and you're always going to get the same thing back, that I live a certain way. And that's important when you're hiring an attorney. And I think that resulted in me attracting a lot of business and cases early on.
Well, I think it not only is great for an attorney, but it's great for humans. I mean,
for sure.
I think why we're friends, it didn't start over me needing your legal services.
We're gonna talk about why
we're not.
Okay.
We're not. I mean, we can, but there's no reason to.
It's a good story. I mean, it's a life lesson for me, for sure.
Sure, but I care more that the reason I'm friends with you is the person you are, because to your point, I know the kind of man you are and the man you're going to be, and regardless of the situation, I know where you stand, and it's a really easy measuring tool to rely on for friendship, for doing business with. And I think that's one of the reasons that we were able to build our friendship. Fortunately, I didn't need to meet you through an injury, which would have required me to hire you.
Yeah.
But if I had, I'm sure we would be equally as good of friends today.
Yeah, I mean, there's more important things in life than money. And I think how you live your life is really important. And so I don't cut corners, and greed's never going to be something that dictates my decisions. And I'm a true, like, I shake your hand and I tell you something and I'm going to come through, and you're the same way.
So you start Batta Fulkerson.
Yep.
4/20/2012.
4/20/2016.
2016.
Yep. 2016.
Okay. Sorry, 4/20/2016.
Yep.
You move your table up against the wall.
Yep.
And that is the first inaugural table.
That was where it all started.
Now, I know this, and I know how amazing your office is. It's one of the coolest experiential offices in San Diego. If you have any reason to be in San Diego, you got to go check out Batta Fulkerson's office. It's incredibly cool.
Bulldogs everywhere.
Bulldogs everywhere, motorcycles, living walls. It feels like I'm inside of your man cave, and it's just awesome.
I appreciate that.
That's a far cry from where you started.
Oh, yeah.
So 18 months to make your first dollar. Everything's reinvested. When did you move out of your house into your first office?
So pretty quickly, we moved into like a Regent space, like a one office. They provide a secretary, and you get conference room hours and shared hours. And Paul and I shared an office in there for a while, and then hired our first attorney and got a second office, put another paralegal in his office with him, and then got a third office in the Regent space. And eventually we had a whole hallway of the Regents, and Regents came to us and was like, this isn't really what this setup is for. Like, you've kind of outgrown us. So at that point in time, we took on an office space and a lease in downtown San Diego, and we were in that building for 3 years and outgrew that space. And it's just been a constant growth. And my office is on the same street as my house. I had a dream one night, which is just one of the weirder experiences, that I was flying into San Diego, and I looked over to like the hill where my house is, and I saw this building, and there was a big light up Bulldog on top of this building. And I woke up the next day and I called a commercial real estate buddy and was like, hey, I want to buy this building. And he looked into it and said it was owned by University of California School Systems and that they never sell their real estate, and so I should get over it. 6 months later, he calls me back and he's, quote unquote, it's like, you got some weird Yoda type energy, man, because they're listing the building and they listed it with my firm. So at that point in time, we had to figure out how to make moves on it. I'd never made a transaction of that size, and it was a different kind of sale because it was an auction. They wouldn't put it on the market. So there was nothing that you could know in regards to market price. There was no way you could know what anyone else was going to offer. You had to literally write down what you were willing to pay for that building, put it in an envelope, went up to Oakland, and the highest bidder won. And so had to meet with a bunch of people, figure it out, met with Jimmy Langley, met with a bunch of, mutual friends that we have, figured out where I thought the market price was, went in a little bit heavy because I wanted it. I knew it was supposed to be, I saw it in a dream. Like it was supposed to be mine. We won the building and built it all out, which was a heck of a deal because that was through the middle of COVID, but it worked out really well. And now it's our home. We'll be there for forever. And it's amazing. Like I get to walk back and forth to work every day. Like it's great. Living in a bubble.
And you almost have like your Batman light at the top. I mean,
it is a Batman light. It's a Bulldog Batman light.
It's awesome. I see it from when I'm landing and I fly a lot. I see it. Yeah. I see it when I drive into downtown.
Yep.
It's really a cool experience. And I think that's what's awesome about your story is you saw it. It manifested because you were clear on what your vision was.
Yep.
I don't know how it came to you.
Yep.
And why it came to you.
Really.
Where do you see now? I mean, now you're expanding Batta Fulkerson into Idaho.
Yep.
Which is home for you.
Yep. I grew up in Idaho, grew up in Boise. My mom and my sisters, my nieces are still there. Family's still there. And I wanted to be able to get back and be closer. And it's also amazing to be able to help people that you grew up with. And I have many clients that are like parents of people that I went to high school with. And it's a really soul rewarding thing to be able to like go full circle and be back in Idaho.
But in order to do that, mind you, I mean, you just did that in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
In order to do that, you had to retake the bar in Idaho.
Yeah, it was shit. It was terrible.
Yeah, I remember you told me you were studying for the bar, and this is how many years out of law school?
Yeah, 11 years out. When I was a student, I was a professional student. I could take a test and blow through it. But when you haven't taken a test in 11 years to go back to studying and going back to like that, it was difficult. Like it was interesting.
While still maintaining your current workload as the partner at Batta Fulkerson here in San Diego.
Oh yeah, that's that after work hustle. Like
yes.
That's you put your head down and you just make it happen. Yeah.
Not to mention, we haven't even got into the fact that you're also an investor and owner of a handful of businesses around San Diego.
Yeah, I mean it was a juggle, but it's also one of those things that like I knew how important that was for me to be able to be close to my family. You know, like I knew that I was missing out on a lot of things in my niece's life. I knew that, you know, it was very critical that I was able to get back there more often. And also, candidly, it was in the middle of COVID, and I was very concerned that the state of California was going to do some really funky stuff and force, vaccinate employees with, if you had a business of over 25 employees, I thought they were going to force vaccinate. And I had a couple critical pieces that came to me and said, like, if that goes down, we're out. We're not getting vaccinated. And so my hedge against that potential was, okay, if I open up an office in Idaho, I'll hire you through my Idaho office. You can work remotely wherever you want. Maybe you end up in California, but you can work remotely, and then I can avoid that and I can keep these critical pieces. And so there was multiple motivations behind it, and it just made sense. So it was worth putting my head down. I'm glad I did it. Taking the test was not a lot of fun, but we got through.
Mm-hmm. We passed.
We passed.
Right?
We passed. 50% pass rate. We got through. We were the good side of the coin. So
how many hours a day were you studying?
3.
How many days a week?
3 for a month, every day.
7 days a week?
7 days a week for a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put my head down. And I mean, it was, some of it came back, right? Like some of it was, the retention was still there, but there was water laws and tribal law, like stuff that I'd never learned before that I had to reteach myself. Family law. We didn't have to know family law in the California bar. Like I'm learning about adoptions and things like I had no clue. So that was stuff that I had to like teach myself for a first time, and it took some time.
Yeah. Well, I think what is brilliant about that is a lot of times people are victims of circumstance, and we're victims of uncertainty in the future, and we are reactive. And the theme of our show is success formulas, that I believe success is formulaic. I think that if you pull back all successful people, it's not the fact that you're a professional student, went to law school, and now you're a great lawyer. No, there's pieces of Dan that will be successful and allow you to be successful whatever you do. Some of that is the understanding of being change ready. And for me, that's one of my core values and one of my principles. And I think that you have that as well, because you said, hey, change might be coming. I'm not going to wait for it. I'm not going to sit here and put my head in the sand and say, hey, this is my business. This is what I do. And, I'm a millionaire. I have these incredible successes. I don't need to work 7 days a week, 3 hours a day studying for a bar in Idaho.
Yeah.
I can just go visit my family in Idaho.
Yeah.
But I have these key pieces, and I want to maintain my business into the future, and I want to grow what I built.
Yep.
So you put in that time.
Yep.
Outside of that, are there core values that you have defined for yourself? Do you have your set that you say, this is who I am, these are what I do?
I mean, I've always said be unapologetically yourself. You know, like I used to be really insecure. I still got a little bit of a baby face. It's kind of going away. Just pray to God I keep my hair. But I used to be a little insecure about how young I looked. And I don't wear a suit every day. I'm like usually in a black tee and J's. And I used to worry like when clients would come in, like how they would judge me and how it would be, how the visual would be, right? And then I remember probably 5.5 years ago, I had an old guy come in. He was probably 75 years old and he got pretty serious brain injury from a bicycle case. And he came in, the first thing he said to me, he sat down and he was like, I'm not signing up with you. He's like, I got a friend that's an attorney. He's been doing it for a really long time. I'm just here out of courtessy for my son. My son wanted me to meet with you. I was like, cool, no worries. And we just sat there and chopped it up for like an hour, just on life. We didn't even talk about the case, just talked about life. After the hour, he goes, bring me your forms. I'm not going anywhere else. And that was a moment where I was just like, if you're you and you just live how you are and don't live with a facade and just be unapologetically yourself, you're going to attract the right people and you're going to attract the right things. And so that's been one of the biggest things in my life, is just like owning who I am, whether it's the Bulldogs, whether it's, you know, how I want to live, how I want people to see me, how I want to dress. Like it's just, I'm unapologetically myself. And that's a big part of it for me. It's also being a good human. Like we do a ton of charity community work, not because I want the pat on the back, but because I get to live my dream every day. And I believe in paying that forward every day. And I think that everyone should be doing that. And so, you know, I sit on the board of 6 different nonprofits. I make the time for that. It takes a lot of time. I've started nonprofits. I've started a Bulldog Rescue. I've started a nonprofit with friends that adopt local impoverished schools and help, you know, fill in the gaps where they're needed to be filled, which I asked you to speak at and you said yes. And I'm very grateful for that as well. And, you know, those are things that are really, really important to me. We have a food pantry that gives out over 1 million meals every single year in San Diego. Like that's the kind of stuff that to me is like legacy type stuff. I built a dog park in Little Italy. Like, you know, for me, there's nothing better than that. Like I can go to my own dog park. So, you know, those are the type of things that, you know, I just think that it's what's made me happy. And I say this all the time, I see so many really wealthy people and so many really successful people that are miserable. And I am truly happy every single day of my life. Like it's not fake, like it's real. Like every day I'm happy. And I really think it's just because I've built my life around all the things that I love. And I've made sure to keep perspective and not just sell out for money or what's going to make me the most amount of money or make decisions based on that. It's based on how I want to live and the people that I want to be around.
Yes. I mean, you clearly know the real you.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the most important first steps.
And what do you think that first step is? What would you suggest? Help me. I want to figure out the real me.
I mean, I think that it takes time, but it also it takes you being honest with yourself, right? Like a lot of people hide from the truth of who they are, and I think they know that truth. I think that deep down they know the things that are going to make them happy, but they're able to hide from it, and they're able to, you know, whether it's through alcohol or through, you know, other things like that, other vices or you know, possessions. They try to purchase themselves out of, you know, the reality. I went through that. Like I had 2 Ferraris before I was 30. I realized how shallow that shit is. Like that's not going to make you happy. Like you cannot buy yourself happiness. It peaks. Like you get a little spike and then it's right back down to where you are. And now I drive a big truck and a Tesla. You know,
Hold on.
like,
your big truck is...
It's a big truck.
It's
a big truck.
I mean, how many
Well,
horsepower?
I'm an accident attorney.
How many horsepower?
I'm an accident attorney. If you hit me, you're going to feel it. I'm not going to feel it. Yeah, it's a big truck.
And it also has, what, 700 horses?
It's a big truck. Yeah.
It's a nice truck.
Yeah, it's a big truck. But yeah, it's you know, I just figured out early on, luckily, like that those kind of things are not going to make you happy. Like I don't drink. Like it's just not something that I've done. It's not something that is interesting to me. I'm not a club guy. I'm not going out and popping bottles or doing stuff like that. Like I've figured out the things that truly make me happy, and I've just tried to surround myself with those things. And that's given me a lot of life perspective, and also sitting back and watching other people, like watching how other people have lived and watching how other successful people have lived and their downfalls and where those pitfalls have come, and then making sure that you make conscious steps to avoid those type of things.
Sure. And how does that play? Because I struggle with that. I don't really drink alcohol. I'll have a drink
you and I are the same like that.
Every occasional situation. I mean, I'm not in a program. I'm not in recovery. I'm not against having a beverage. I just don't. It takes a lot. Like, I'll never be the one to initiate.
But you never, like, I can't see you getting sloppy drunk.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not you.
I don't have drinks to get, like, I will have a drink occasionally.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of a stigma to that. And I go out socially, and I will tell you that I've even had close friends say, it kind of makes me uncomfortable to let loose when you're not letting loose.
Yeah.
And being that you're in the networking game, I mean, you're building your business through relationships just like I do.
Yeah.
Have you found that has been an issue, or has it never really caused any?
I just own it. Like, I went to dinner with the neurosurgeon last night that, is a friend that we do a lot of work together, and he's ordering drinks, and he's like, "What are you going to drink?" I'm like, "I'll get a Sprite." And he just kind of looks at me. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a child. Like, what do you want from me?" Like, "Oh, I'd rather have a Sprite than I'd rather have a beer. I'd rather have whatever you're drinking." So that's what I mean. Like, you just have to own who you are. Like, there's no reason in this. Life is short. Like, if you're worried about what other people are going to say or how you're going to be judged by other people, you're going to be worried about that your whole life, and that's going to build insecurity. I don't worry about that. And I had a mentor, and he said something to me, and it messed with me. He goes, "Who do you think loves you the most in this world?" And I sat and thought about it.
Your mom.
My mom. That's what exactly. So I was like, "My mom." Because, "You think your mom's thinking about you right now?" And I'm like, "No, probably not." He's like, "So if your mom, the person who loves you the most in this life, isn't thinking about you right now and thinking about how you live, why are you worried about what anyone else is thinking about you?" And it pissed me off at first. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, "You're 100% right." Like, we all are so, can get so consumed and wrapped up in what other people think, but that's not their life. Like, they're not going to have to live my life. They're going to have to wake up in my bed the next day like that. Why am I worried about what anyone else thinks about me? I'm just going to live how I want to live and let the cards fall where they may, and let the people that are supposed to be attracted to me be attracted to me. And the people that aren't Dan people aren't going to be Dan people.
Which couldn't be anybody, because
there are.
I don't know.
It happens.
I don't know.
It happens. Some people don't like dogs.
Yeah, okay, fair. There are some weird people in this world.
It's just the way it works.
I sent you a meme on dogs.
I liked it. I posted it.
Yeah. So I think that's really important, because I would say one of the freest days of my life was the day I stopped caring the fact that I couldn't please everybody. I had this bad problem early in life that I thought making friends and being the relationship guy that I am meant I had to get everybody to like me.
Yeah.
And my goal in life is to make friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Make friends and have fun.
It's part of your business model.
It's part of my business model. It's part of my life. It's my culture. But I realized I can't make everyone like me. Yeah. And it was tough. Like, I genuinely spent time dwelling on this. It was eating at me. I read books on it, like how to make people like you who don't like you. Yeah. Like, there are books on this, tips and tricks. I tried to be a chameleon. And then one day I stopped caring.
Yep.
And the moment I did,
you're free.
Not only was I free, but I started to attract more people to me.
Yep.
And I was more able to lean into them and build deeper, richer relationships. Yep. And realize that because I think that when I say everybody, I like to find the good in everyone.
Yeah.
I might notice the bad, and I'll be okay with it because I'll find that the good can outweigh them. I mean, obviously, if you're a sociopath, I'm not going to like you.
Yeah.
But we're talking most normal humans.
For sure.
And I built my business that way. And Batta Fulkerson and you, Dan, have built your business that way.
Yep.
And I think that one of the things that I've noticed being a fan of you and watching you on the side is how you're growing that sphere daily, consistently, regularly, by being unapologetically you.
Yeah.
And I love that phrase, unapologetically you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to steal it, but I'm going to borrow it a lot. I'm going to borrow it a lot.
You're good. I was on a podcast the other day, and I gave you credit for it, but they were talking about attracting success, and I used it's like an animal. You can't chase it.
Yeah.
Like, that shit will run from you. So you can.
Okay.
I take one from you. You take one from me.
Fair.
We're good.
So you started your dog charity.
Yep.
The foundation.
Yep.
You bought a ranch-ish.
Got a ranch out.
We calling it a ranch?
Yeah, it's the rescue ranch.
The rescue ranch.
Rescue ranch.
Tell us about it.
I was doing a lot of rescue work, working for other rescues, helping place dogs, find dogs. I was rescuing my own dogs, and just like anything else, got to a place where I was like, I want to do this my way. I want to do it differently. I want to build something that's like a legacy piece in my life, and the dogs are so important to me, and I just want to be able to help as many as I can. So started my own nonprofit, rescuing English bulldogs, French bulldogs, Project Save a Bully, and it's a slow build because I have so many different moving parts in my life, but building out like a rescue ranch out in East County, and hopefully that will be where I can house more dogs and rescue more dogs and just save more lives, because Frenchies have now been named the most popular dog in the country. And with that, there's a lot of breeders out there that will just breed them for money. And unfortunately, once they're done breeding them, they ditch them on the streets. And so the males usually get ditched around 5 years old. Females usually get ditched around 3 or 4 years old. And when I say on the streets, I literally mean that. They're getting dropped off at fire stations. They're just getting ditched in boxes like Teddy was. I have 3 Frenchies. They're amazing dogs. All of them ditched on the streets. And so I just want to be able to find homes for as many of them as I can. A lot of them need some, care when they come in. I provide all that. That's something that it's just like my give back to life. And so I'll get them all healthy, get them spayed and neutered, get them back to where they need to be, and then I find great homes for them. And that's something that has been completely rewarding in my life. And I've met so many amazing people and have so many amazing relationships in my life now because of the rescue connections. And I think that's what you mean by once you're just living how you want to live and how you should live, you attract those people. And those people have opened doors for me in other business ventures. Those people have become clients in personal injury cases or referred me really good cases. So it's just a life energy thing, but the dogs really make me happy. Like I always have one on me. I always will have one on me. There's, 5 of them back at my house, and that's my life. It's a bulldog life.
What's the most amount of dogs you'll have?
I had 8 at my house at one time.
No, but I mean, that are your dogs that we're not finding homes for.
Okay, I say 6 is the city limit. 6 is the city limit.
So the official answer is 6, but how many?
The official answer is 6. Now that I have the rescue ranch, I think that I can probably hedge against that. I lived next to the mayor of San Diego for a while, and he would always look over. I'm like, bro, there's 6. Don't worry about it.
Is it 6 any dogs?
6 any dogs.
In the city of San Diego?
In the city of San Diego. That's your city limit.
Regardless of property size?
Regardless of property size.
Okay.
Well, you got HOAs and apartments usually only allow 2 and things like that.
They can limit it, but the most
is 6. Like I had a condo in Little Italy that I had to move out of because I had too many. So that was what facilitated the purchase of a house. And now, 6 is the most. So, I think 6 is a good number. For me, it works. My pack is really, really great. They get along really well, which is how it works. And I say 6 to people, and they're like, "You're crazy! Like that's crazy."
You're the male version of a cat lady.
No, I'm not a male version of a cat.
You kind of are.
That is an insult. That is an insult.
I don't mean it insultingly.
Come on, man. This is not a cat. I mean,
no, it's a dog.
But
I'm a dog guy. I'm a dog guy.
Cat lady's different. Cats are different. I mean, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but cats are different.
Cats are different. When I say cat lady, I mean the individual. And it could be a man. It's just the name.
Yeah.
A man or woman that has a ton of cats.
2023. Careful where you go.
Fair enough.
You can insult some people.
True story, and I'm not trying to. I do mean men or women that have a ton of cats.
Yeah.
You have a ton of dogs.
I have a ton of dogs, and it's
not a bad thing. I love it. I used to have 2 boxers. They were my pack.
It works for me. It's a lot for a lot of people, but it also is my lifestyle, right? Like I live 5 houses from my office. I can walk back and forth. Like, I got a dog that has spina bifida. One of my English males has spina bifida. I didn't know it when I pulled him out of the kill shelter, and he can't be inside because he'd have to be in a diaper. And if he's in a diaper too long, he's going to get infections and then he's going to die. So I turned my garage into his apartment, and now that's where he lives. And he goes down to my dog park every day, and then he's in his apartment, which was my garage. And like, it's different. It's weird, but it's the things that make me happy and that run my life. And I love being able to rescue dogs. And now that I'm at my max of 6, now it's finding homes for dogs. And I got a great foster network that will take them in while they need to be, housed. And then we find really, really good quality homes. And I watch how it changed people's lives. Like, I watch how these dogs change people, and people that are like, I'm not a dog person. And then you see them 6 months later and it's like the dog's wrapped around their finger, and it's awesome.
There's nothing like a dog.
There's nothing like a dog.
There's nothing like a dog. I mean,
nothing like a dog. Can't have bad days.
They don't have them.
No. And they're happy to see you every single time. Like, there's nothing better than me coming home from a trip and they're all just like running down the hallway to see me. Like, I look forward to it every single time. And with this guy, like, he comes everywhere with me. Like, it's an icebreaker as well. Like, how many relationships that I've met, like how many, you don't even have to like introduce yourself. People are just coming up going, who's this? Mm-hmm. This is Teddy. Like, it's so there's that element to it as well.
And I don't think I've ever told you this, but part of my fun when I get to see you socially is I always get to play with a dog. So it's kind of like,
what did you say today when you saw me? You're like, this is why I love to see you.
Yeah,
I had Teddy.
100%. Yes. I saw Teddy before I saw you, and I was hanging out with Teddy until I saw you.
I totally get it.
Sometimes I want you to just leave Teddy, and I'll see you later.
I totally get it. I get it. I always say I like dogs more than I like people, so I totally understand. Totally understand.
So for people who are interested in helping and getting involved, because I think rescuing animals and being part of bigger organizations than just things around money. It costs a lot of money to be in a dog rescue. It costs a lot of energy and effort. Some people have money, some people have resources, but how could people help your cause, what you're really after, your rescue specifically, and then maybe one in their respected city?
So, I mean, always looking for good fosters, always looking for people that are interested in adopting. Follow me. I post all the dogs on my Instagram.
And that is, what's the handle?
So Dan Fulkerson or the Bulldog Lawyer. There's 2. So either one of them, I'm posting all the dogs on there. And then, I sit on the board of Road Dogs as well. Road Dogs is usually Frenchies, some English, and they usually have some significant cleft palates, things like that are going on. They're amazing dogs, but they have a lot of medical needs. So donate to Road Dogs. We're always taking donations. It all goes straight to the dogs. No one gets paid anything. There's no salaries. There's no human that's getting any benefit from it. It all goes directly to the dogs. And, there's strategic relationships that I, right before we started this, I'm like, hey, I need an introduction to X, Y, and Z for Road Dogs because of this project that we're working on. So, it really is, for me, it's just a complete give back game. There's no selfishness in it. There's nothing that I'm looking for out of it. I just want to be able to help more dogs. And I know that there's a lot of dogs that are getting put down that are in, shelters that aren't finding homes. And that kills me because they're good dogs and they deserve to live a good life.
So at the ranch, how many dogs do you have right now?
Right now I have my 6. So the ranch, I just had to redo the whole house, and now we're building out kennels. So kennels will be built out now, and then I'll be able to start having dogs at the ranch. The ranch is in East County, so it's really hot in the summer. So we have to have like full indoor air-conditioned kennels, and that's the next project.
Is there a website where people can learn about the dogs and maybe find one that
Yep, Save a Bully, and then also has the Instagram page. The Instagram page is way more active than the website. I need to really get on that game. So I'd say the Instagram, you're going to be able to see most of the dogs. And then obviously following me, I'll be posting them all as well.
So if you're involved in an injury or an accident and you need an attorney and you're in San Diego or Idaho, mostly around Boise, you need to hit up Dan or his partner Paul. They truly are, and it's natural that you have a bulldog as your mascot because they really are, and they will fight for you like a bulldog. I've seen you do incredible things for friends of mine that I've referred to you and gone above and beyond. It's not just about a paycheck.
Nope.
You're the good part of personal injury law.
That's the goal. Like that's when we started, it was, especially with where I came from and what I saw, like it was, we want to change the reputation. I don't want it to be the sleazy, slimy ambulance chaser reputation. I want it to be, we are here to help people. It's not a money game. Like, yes, it's a business, so there's a compensation involved. I never take $1 more than what any of my clients net to their pocket. Like, that's my promise on every case. I will never take $1 more than what my clients walk away with to their pocket after all the bills get paid, after everything gets paid, because I always want it to be fair. And I want the reputation to change. I don't want it to be, oh, you're this just solicitous ambulance chaser that wants people to get hurt. I look forward to autonomous cars. Put me out of business. I'll find something else to do with my time. But until then, we're here to help people the right way.
And that is why we are good friends and why I love what you guys are doing. I also love your dog rescue. So get involved. Even if it's not through his outfit, find one in your neighborhood. Too many dogs are going and needing homes, and dogs bring joy. Dan, this is fun. I could sit here all day with you.
This is great.
But
I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
I wanted to thank you for coming on and spending the time and bringing Teddy to come to the studio. Good old
If I'm
Teddy.
here, Teddy's here. That's how it works.
Which is a great tool because, like you said, I want Teddy around a little bit more. So we always want Dan around because he brings Teddy. So Teddy, thank you for coming on. Dan, thank you for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
Until next time, thank you for tuning into the Jeff Fenster Show.
Hey everyone. First, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And if you guys haven't heard about my new book, Relationship Bank Account, click the link in the show notes or search the title on Amazon. This book is packed with all my secrets to success in both relationships and life. Make sure to pick up a copy, and if the book helps you on your journey, let us know by leaving a review. I appreciate all of you and can't wait to see you on the next one.